Hello and welcome to the FinTech Finance Virtual Arena. Today we're going to be talking all about PSD2 and the changing payments landscape that's affecting us all. And joining us here today, we have David Chance and Stuart from Fiserv. Guys, how are you doing? How are you both feeling today?
Well, thank you.
Thanks. Brilliant. So if to start things off, I'd like to kind of ask you guys a bit about yourselves and your role at Fiserv so we can get a bit of understanding of why we brought you on the show today. So David, could I start with you? Can you tell our audience a bit about yourself and your role at Fiserv?
Yeah, certainly. I've been in the payment space for far too long, well over 35 years. I've been lucky enough to work on every type of payment, all the way from retail through to high value cross-border cards and account-to-account transactions. At Fiserv, I'm part of the payments product group, looking after strategy innovation on a global basis. And that means that I get to work with regulators, industry bodies, standards groups to really help evolve payments as we move over the next sort of 3-5 years. And then work with our various product groups across the company to get that innovation, to get that evolution of payments into the products to the benefits of our clients.
Absolutely brilliant. And with that in mind then, Stuart, can you tell me a bit more about yourself and your role at Fiserv, please?
Sure, hi Doug. So my name is Stuart Bush. I work within Fiserv's product management team. On the international GFS side, so I spend a lot of my time working with issuers and fintechs. And over the last few years, one of my main objectives and focus areas has been on the rollout of our PSD2 solutions. I'm working with issuers and acquirers on preparing for SCA in Europe and in the UK.
Brilliant. Now I can imagine you must have had your hands quite full over the last couple of years with the SCA side of things. But to kick things off, I really want to kind of get a bit of an understanding, a bit of background before we continue. So with that in mind then, David, if I throw it to you first, we've seen PSD2, we've seen a lot of discussion around open banking, but more importantly, what exactly is open payments and how does that interact with PSD2?
Sure. So open payments is really a wide suite of APIs that allow third parties to manage and initiate payments on behalf of customers. So open payments goes beyond the sort of the tight PSD2 definition of payment initiation services, but includes services such as notification, status, request for return, recall of payments, payment information, payment details, validation of the payment elements, the party type validation. So it really supports a wide range of payment and payment related APIs. And it's also there to support a wide range of overlay services, things like request to pay, mandated payments, guaranteed payments. So it is more than just initiate a payment. It's that whole ecosystem to support the payment and the payment journey.
Absolutely brilliant. And well, with that in mind, I think the payment journey is so important. We're starting to see the whole journey almost become invisible, shall we say, and that's because of embedded finance. So how are we going to see embedded finance almost become a reality? Because at the moment it's so intangible. What do you think will make embedded finance actually become established across industries?
Yeah, I think we're actually starting to see that journey now. We're getting to see financial institutions incorporating a range of API-based services as part of their offering within their own ecosystems. So, financial institutions as part of that wider financial services can utilize the APIs that are available through those that sort of wider financial ecosystem, such as the insurance, the investment, pensions, to build that complete financial life cycle for its customers. I think we have seen over the last couple of years through digitization that financial institutions have really pivoted away from very much a product-centric mentality to orchestrating and providing services in a customer-centric approach. Providing a single place for all of your financial health information through investments and pensions, all being brought together, multiple accounts over different financial institutions into that one place to give you that visibility. So I do think we've actually, well on that journey, and it may be hidden, but we're actually seeing the benefit of it now.
Yeah. Well, with that in mind, and Stuart, I am going to come to you, but I just want to pick David's brains one more time. So, what do you think, David, will this do in general for the payment space in the UK and the European Union? And I want to say 2021, but also beyond.
Yeah, so I'm still surprised how far into 2021 we are now. Yeah. Feels like it's 2020, but yeah, I do think what it'll do is it will drive consolidation across the different payment types, and it will definitely open up innovation. And I think we'll see a slight change in the way players interact in the payment space. So I think we'll see merchants and the big fintechs taking a bigger slice of the payment space, and it's potentially will lead to displacements of payments away from the traditional players into some of the new neobanks, the fintechs, and merchant fintechs. And I think we'll see a lot of the APIs used to support things like new credit capabilities, such as buy now, pay later. I think it really will lead to lots of innovation. But then, on the other side, lots of threats for financial institutions and traditional payment providers who are going to need to adapt and respond to a very different environment in which they operate.
Yeah, and I think that's really what is quite critical at this point. It just seems like the whole landscape has changed. And with that in mind, if we can, you've brought up some of the e-commerce side of things. I want to now throw it over to Stuart if I can. Now, strong customer authentication, or SCA, was postponed in the UK till September. Now, do you think this is going to give finance and potentially the e-commerce firms enough time to actually deploy a compliant solution? Or is this still, even with the delay, just too much for these organizations after what happened in 2020?
Thanks, Doug. I think that all of the issuers and the retailers will be ready for September. But we have to remember that e-commerce payments are more complex than consumers necessarily think. So what appears seamless and frictionless to us as consumers, behind the scenes, there's many organizations involved, many steps that those transactions go through. So that complex ecosystem contributes to things. But I've been lucky enough to work with a number of issuers and large retailers as well. And I've seen a lot of collaboration, a lot of effort going in across those organisations to be ready. Firstly for June, when the reporting to the FCA starts, and then subsequently for September, when kind of the final compliance fits in. So there may well be some customer journeys that get enhanced post-September, but I'm confident that everybody will be ready for September.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, with that in mind, if you with that kind of optimism, do you think that SCA is ultimately coming in at the right time? And would you see it as an opportunity then for all these businesses to actually maybe tackle some of the fraud aspects of e-commerce that they had previously once kind of ignored?
I absolutely do. So I think that obviously the pandemic has had a significant impact for many people. But if I look at my parents' generation, we've got a lot of new e-commerce users. We've got a lot of people that are kind of outside of their comfort zone. Out of necessity, they're having to shop more and more online. And I think that PSD2 is a real opportunity for issuers and retailers to provide an additional layer of security, to give their customers more confidence, to encourage them to spend more online, to give them kind of payment instrument agnostic experiences, and really give them the confidence to shop more and more online. So I think it is a positive, and I think it will help us to protect against those kind of opportunistic criminals who have operated quite successfully in their eyes during the pandemic process. So I think the timing of change will be good for all of those new people who are now going to be shopping online.
Such a brilliant kind of perspective to kind of look at that. Now we have an entire new demographic of people shopping online. It's time to get real about it and actually look at changing the way that we operate as merchants, as people actually buying things on e-commerce. But David, before I throw it back to you as well, Stuart, I want to ask, we've talked about what it means for consumers, the merchants. What does it mean when it comes to strong customer authentication for banks and financial institutions? How are they going to be impacted by this? And what is the impact going to be on the payments industry as a whole in the EU going into in 2021 and beyond?
Absolutely. So obviously, already it feels like a long way into 2021 already, as David was saying. But September obviously is a significant way through 2021. It comes quite close to kind of critical shopping periods for retailers and for our issuers, customers as well. So I think that obviously people will be wanting to make sure that they protect those periods. But then I think over time, you'll see banks innovating more, experiences being developed, more options for different customer journeys. There'll be more and more change over time. And I think that initially, when people heard of PSD2, they saw it as this big kind of change that was coming around strong customer authentication. But if I draw a parallel for a moment back to chip and PIN, when chip and PIN came in, it was the chip and PIN as two factors of authentication. But chip and PIN's now successfully rolled out, consumers understand it. Chip and PIN led to kind of the growth in contactless payments. Contactless payments became mobile payments. Yeah. So as you move through these opportunities, as the regulations bring them, innovation always comes out of the back end, and there are always opportunities to improve those journeys. And I think PSD2 will be the same.
It's really interesting to hear how these regulations, while also, as a regulator has to do, look after the consumer, are facilitating such innovation to continue that evolution of payments. Now, and I would almost call it pretty much one of the most important innovations to enable open banking has obviously been open API technology. So David, if I could come to you with this, we're going to see banks actually be regulated more about what type of APIs they use. So how will the full implementation of bank regulatory APIs actually change the payment space also in Europe going into 2021?
Yeah, good question. I think actually in a smaller way than maybe expected, because as part of the digital transformation and that pivot towards a customer-centric approach, financial institutions are already providing a far greater range of APIs than those being regulated. And they're delivering those to the market and to their customers already in a very innovative way, with multiple ways of deploying those out to the end customer.
Interesting. Now, with that in mind, then, as I've brought up before, David, the use of API technology revolutionized banking and payments in particular, but it's also starting to revolutionize lots of other verticals. So I almost want to ask you quite a crystal ball question here, but where will we see the innovative promises laid down by PSD2 and the open API technology in 2021 and 2022? And can I ask, where does Fiserv sit in amongst this ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So, we've already started to see a whole raft of innovative products with the likes of Snoop, Tink, Bankify, Token, really showing how the APIs can actually generate new and added value around products and services and really produce a new revenue stream. Fiserv is really an integrated part of our clients' customers' day-to-day life. We're at the heart of innovation and helping to drive financial institutions' digital transformations. We have digitized and serviced the complete end-to-end financial service for an individual or a corporate right from the way those services are presented through the channels, all the way through the payment systems and the core banking systems. And we're able to deploy that in very innovative ways to the financial institutions through things like banking as a service, payments as a service. So really taking that API, that service approach to supporting the financial institutions' wider ecosystem. So yeah, it's really changing the market, the approach, and the way that organizations partner and work together collaboratively to really improve the service to the end user, the customers.
That's absolutely brilliant. What a note to end it on. Well, I just want to say, Stuart and David, thank you very much for your input. I mean, it is absolutely changing not only, as we've just said, payments, but also every other industry along with it. So thank you very much for your insight. And thank you to all our viewers. You can catch the rest of the series and much more over at www.fintechf.com and of course, YouTube and LinkedIn, where I'll see you then. Thank you very much. Goodbye.